Hi everyone, Patrick here. For today's episode, this will be SFF Spotlight episode number 90. So yeah, we only have 10 episodes left before we reach episode number 100. I think in total on my YouTube channel, I have posted about 500 videos, I think. And apparently 90 of them are actually dedicated to SFF Spotlight. And I think that's amazing, especially considering that almost every episode of SFF Spotlight always has a lot of great viewership, in my opinion. Anyway, and I can only say thank you so much to all of you who keep on tuning to SFF Spotlight. But anyway, if this is the first time you're watching this segment on my YouTube channel, this is a series of videos where I usually talk about new book news, new cover reveals, new Kickstarter campaign, and also new special edition in the adult fantasy and sci-fi genre, although sometimes I like to include other genre as well, especially horror. And speaking of horror, well, for this episode, I would like to start by talking about the special editions to Spotlight first. I think in total in this episode, I have about only 11 topics to Spotlight, and 3 of them will be dedicated to special editions. And for the first one, this will be about Cold Print and Others by Ramsey Campbell, Conversation 3 Press edition. Many of you were happy and also keep on asking me to spotlight Conversation 3 Press edition because many of you think that it is underrated and deserves to receive more spotlight, and I'm happy to oblige. So Cold Print and Others by Ramsey Campbell is the second volume of Weird, a series of fine press with fiction volumes curated, edited, and introduced by S.T. Joshi. Drawing from Joshi's extensive and distinguished career, this collection featured the very best work from the most celebrated and influential voices in the genre, such as Ramsey Campbell, one of the most acclaimed voices in modern horror for more than 50 years. Cold Print and Others gathers 12 of Campbell's most haunting short stories spanning over 4 decades of his career. For fans of Conversation 3 Press, Campbell's work, or the horror genre, this letterpress edition of Cold Print and Others is limited to 677 copies and is published in 3 states: Collector Edition, Deluxe Edition, and Lettered Edition, along with 5 sets of unbound sheets. The bindings or enclosures of all 3 states have been designed to align with those of the first volume, ensuring a matching design across the series. This edition features an original introduction by S.T. Joshi and a never-before-published interview with Ramsey Campbell, and artwork contributions from 3 acclaimed artists. The first one is Marcela Bolivar. She contributed 12 full-color illustrations, 1 for each short story, as well as an additional piece used as end papers in the Collector's and Deluxe Edition and on the interior of the Lettered Edition Solander box. And then we have Sveta Dorosheva, and she created the emblem artwork inset on the cover of the Collector's Edition and tipped into the Deluxe and Lettered Editions. And then finally, we have Svetlana Molodchenko, who created the title design for this edition and all future volumes. And if you need more details and you want to know more details about this letterpress edition from Conversation 3 Press, you can check out the link in the description down below. And the pre-order date for this one, for all these books, will begin today. So if you are curious about this high-end letterpress edition, make sure to check out the link in the description down below. But moving on to the special edition to Spotlight today, The Broken Binding has announced their new sci-fi subscription, and it is for The Sparrow and also The Children of God by Mary Doria Russell. So this is a duology, and the cover art is being done by Patricia Gutierrez, and then end paper, it is done by Danil Luzin, and the board art is Rachel St Clair. I think this turned out to be a pretty edition. I haven't actually read the books yet, so I'm not sure what the book is about, but I think as far as result goes, I think this is actually super pretty. And speaking of the Broken Binding edition, the next and final special edition I want to spotlight is about, well, just a reminder that it is possible to actually pre-order the second set of the Sun Eater Broken Binding edition by Christopher Ruocchio now, which is the Kingdoms of Death and also the Ashes of Men. But this is only if you have actually purchased the first set of the Sun Eater, the Broken Binding edition, which is the first 3 books containing Empire of Silence, Howling Dark, and also Demon in What. If you have bought a copy of that first set, it is available to now pre-ordered the second set of the Broken Binding edition of the Sun Eater series. And I can actually say that the board art and also the reversible cover art of the 6th and the 7th book, not the board art of the 7th book because I haven't finished that, but I haven't finished reading the Shadows Upon Time, of course, but the reversible cover art of the entire series is done now, and I think the result is just absolutely incredible. I cannot wait for all of you to see that. I think many of you will be pleased with the result of the bas relief artwork. Christopher Ruocchio and I have been thinking about this ever since we started working on the reversible cover art, and yeah, I will be quiet now. I hope many of you will be happy with the result when it's revealed online. But speaking of Christopher Ruocchio, well, let's start talking about cover reveals, shall we? This is about the UK cover reveals of Shadows Upon Time. Shadows Upon Time is the 7th and the final book in the Sun Eater series, and this is the UK cover art. And personally speaking, I'm a huge fan of the US cover art by Sam Weber for Empire of Silence, and then the rest of the series by Kieran Yanner. I prefer those cover art so much more than the UK cover art. And I think I saw someone posted that several people actually preferred the UK cover art, and that's good. Personally, I'm kind of tired of this person that you can see on the cover art of the Shadows Upon Time UK cover art. This guy has been used on so many SFF cover art. I'm so tired of seeing him in SFF cover art now. This is a guy that you can actually search on Shutterstock. Just search warrior in forgotten places or forgotten location, and you will see this figure or this character that has been used on so many cover art. And if it's up to me, I will not use this character on any SFF cover art anymore, because there has just been so many of them. The Emberblade, and then now Shadows Upon Time, and there are still other examples as well. But I'm happy that this book is getting the US and the UK cover art, and I hope many people will be reading the Sun Eater series, because I consider this together with the Red Rising Saga to be the best sci-fi series of all time, in my opinion. Anyway, and then for the next cover reveal, this will be for the traditionally published edition or cover art of This Inevitable Ruin by Matt Dinniman, the 7th book in the Dungeon Crawler Car series, and the cover art for this one is done by Will Still. Honestly speaking, the first time I actually saw the traditionally published edition or the traditionally published cover art of Dungeon Crawler Car by Matt Dinniman, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of the new cover art. I prefer, and until this day, I still prefer the indie edition cover art of Dungeon Crawler Carl. But after actually seeing the new traditionally published edition in person, I actually think they look so much better in person rather than in digital format. It actually reminded me of the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. And right now, at this moment, I still haven't bought any hardcover edition, the traditionally published edition of the Dungeon Crawler Car series, because I'm waiting for the Kickstarter edition to arrive at my place. It has been almost a year since the promised delivery date, and I hope it will arrive soon. But I'm trying to collect that version instead. But anyway, yeah, the cover for this one, for the 7th book in the Dungeon Crawler Car series, has been revealed, the traditionally published cover art. And well done to Will Stell for the work on this entire series. And I look forward to reading the Dungeon Crawler Car series for the first time, probably starting in August. That's my plan anyway. And then next, we have the new paperback edition of Arcanum Unbounded by Brandon Sanderson. So this one, if you don't know, Arcanum Unbounded collects a lot of short stories and also novellas from the Cosmere universe. It has been released, I think, 8 years now. The first edition has been released for 8 years now, I think. And yeah, that one features a cover art by David Palumbo. And this time it features a different artist. And this cover art matches the new paperback edition of the Mistborn series, whether it's the first era or the second era. But this edition and this cover design, it is set to match that Mistborn edition. And yeah, as you can probably tell, that's Hoyt in the cover art of the new paperback edition of Arcanum Unbounded by Brandon Sanderson. Obviously, I have read this book, so I don't see the need to reread this book anytime soon. I haven't even read Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson yet, and that's kind of like sacrilege. If the past Patrick know about this, he will be so pissed at the current Patrick for not reading the Wind and Truth right now, even though I heard a bit of a mixed things about the book right now. But anyway, I look forward to reading Wind and Truth, fingers crossed, within this year. And then finally, the last cover art that I want to spotlight today, and this is for the Winds of War, the first book in the Tapestry of the Tarnished. Tarnished reminded me of the Elden Ring. But yeah, this is for the first book in the Tapestry of the Tarnished by Mosha Winter, and this is the premise of the novel. These threads are soaked in blood. The Astaris Empire is fracturing, its realm flogged by war and fanaticism. Empress Selene and her Gold Council vie to maintain control, but what is control for a nation built on blood and lies? This book marks the first chapter of the Tapestry of the Tarnished. Here is a tale spanning the whole of the ring, a circle of continents rife with war and unrest, a world colored by magics and mythical creatures, a place you will fear yet not wish to live. And of course, that's just the short premise of The Winds of War by Mosha Winter. If you want to know the full details about this book, you can check out the link in the description down below. But I think it's kind of neat that the cover art is actually done by the author himself, and I think that's awesome, especially considering that this cover art is neat, it reads pretty well, and I think it is a job well done from Mosha Winter. And now, before we move on to the final section of today's SFF Spotlight episode, let's feature one Kickstarter campaign. This is from, of course, Wraithmarked Creative. Now, this Kickstarter campaign is not live yet. This is for A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, the Wraithmarked Creative Edition. The cover art is done by, of course, Rovina Kai, and the interior artwork is done by Tom Yilson. And I think both of them, so far, they turned out absolutely amazing. And I look forward to seeing more artwork for this book. I haven't actually read A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik yet. And if you are not new to my channel, then you will know that I have read only 2 books from Naomi Novik. Uprooted, which I dislike thoroughly, and then, Spinning Silver, which I love thoroughly. So let's see whether this one, A Deadly Education, or the Scholarman series will be more suitable to my reading taste or not. But now, let's move on to the final section of today's SFF Spotlight episode, which is to talk about other mediums and adaptations. And for the first one, this is about The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. So right after I posted my previous SFF Spotlight episode, the news came out that James Cameron is going to adapt The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. And wow, that's amazing. That's truly terrific news. When I was reading The Devils by Joe Abercrombie, I had such a blast reading it, but at the same time, I kept on thinking that this book, it would work so well being adapted to the big screen. And I think James Cameron is going to make that happen. Now, as usual, when it comes to TV show adaptation of a fantasy novel, most of the time it doesn't actually end up happening. So, well, hold your breath. But I keep my fingers crossed that this will actually ends up being adapted. That's my hope. Anyway, I really hope that Joe Abercrombie will get this chance of seeing his book finally adapted to the big screen and reach big success. That's my hope. Anyway, and then moving on to the next adaptation. This is actually a video game adaptation of The Expanse. Yes, The Expanse books by James S.A. Corey. And the title of this game is Osiris Reborn. And surprisingly, after seeing the trailer, I had really low hope for this one, but it looks kinda promising. So, well, I will be a bit cautious about my expectations for this game adaptation of The Expanse, and maybe I will play it when the game is out. And fingers crossed it will actually be good, because on the trailer, teaser, trailer, they can be a bit misleading. But so far right now, it looks quite good, and I hope the game will indeed be as good as it's promised. And then finally, the last topic of today's episode, this is about Vinland Saga. Yes, Vinland Saga by Makoto Yukimura. Well, it is ending. It's finally ending next month, specifically before July 19, 2025. And when I read that tweet, I'm kinda emotional because I've been following the Vinland Saga for almost 2 decades now. This book, the first chapter, I believe it came out for the first time in 2005, and I started reading Vinland Saga in 2010. So yeah, I've been reading this for 15 years. Yeah, and it is going to end really soon. But you know what? It's better to end things at the right moment rather than extending it for God knows how long. That never ends up being a positive result. So yeah, I'm happy that Makoto Yukimura knows when to end his stories, and I hope this will be the satisfying and fitting conclusion to the Vinland Saga series. This is one of the most popular series right now. It is great, it is incredible, emotional, and it teaches a lot about life and to be grateful about this privilege and many things that we have right now. And yeah, I really look forward to reading Vinland Saga and maybe season 3 of Vinland Saga as well. I know that because this is getting the ending soon, I'm pretty sure that there will be an anime adaptation for the rest of the series after Vinland Saga season 2, which is, well, absolutely incredible. By the way, you should watch that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end of today's episode of SFF Spotlight. And again, as mentioned in the beginning of today's episode, I cannot help but say thank you so much to all of you who keeps on tuning to my SFF Spotlight videos. 90 episodes now. 90! That's a lot of episodes, and we're only 10 episodes away from episode number 100. And as mentioned, I'll be holding a giveaway when that time comes. Again, thank you so much for watching my YouTube videos, and I can only say I hope many of you will keep on tuning to watching my YouTube channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for support. Bye bye. Lastly, I want to say thank you so much once again to all my patrons who keep on supporting me.